onefootflipper.
So as I've mentioned before, I like to use drafts, and today I realized I had about 300 drafts built up, and when I get too many it can actually cause laziness, because I like to launch 15% of my drafts every day, and I've got 300. It could mean, oh, I don't do anything for a month and they'd still be launching out. So instead, this morning almost at noon, but I launched all 300 of my drafts. Give me some motivation, because now I've got an empty draft bank. Now I gotta start building it back up again. Give me a little bit of motivation to actually get something done. Question is, are those 300 listings actually gonna produce anything other than what I normally get? Who knows? Hey, let's do some sales. In 2 days, I sold this rapid test soil test kit. No idea where this came from, but I didn't see it in our recent Amazon purchases, so it must have been something that we bought for resale. And $8 plus shipping. Monkey, $4.17. It's upstairs, so I won't show it, but I sold an Ozzy Osbourne sticker from the 90s for $6.10. I sold this for the cardboard tokens. These are participation prizes for the Star Trek Attack Wing game. Sold $6. I have quantity on this, and I believe I paid 10 cents per on them. Girly Christmas candle lot and Thanksgiving, $14.54. This was a Goodwill bins item. My wife started grabbing these. They were in the bin. There was a bunch of them in the bin, and then another lady saw her. We'll call her Karen. Karen started grabbing them too, so we didn't get all of them that we wanted to get. Sold a beautiful playmat for $5.55. Isn't this, I mean, even if you're not into this sort of artwork, I just think this is gorgeous, and this should be more money than $5.55. It really should. It's got stitch edging, and this is my last one of these, so it's gone. Can't get it now. Too late. 4 packs of Elvis cards, $4.63. That's all for today, because my sales are in the toilet. How are yours? Or does this person over here think I'm a crazy person talking to myself? Because I'm sitting here recording this in a parking lot. Julie's got an appointment for her a Ninja Princess Academy, or something way cooler than whatever it is your kids are doing. Have I mentioned I'm recording this in my 2010 Jeep Commander? No big deal. Paid for it in cash. Didn't have to finance it. That's how I roll. Big money. Not just jingling money. Folding money. You ever hear anybody say folding money? For some reason, the type of people who say folding money tended to always be creepy guys. I'm going to say creepy guys that were around my age, but I would hear it 15 to 20 years ago. They'd say folding money. Taxi drivers would say folding money. Kind of guys who wash dishes in restaurants, even though they're in their 40s. They'd say folding money. Now, I'm not doubting that, especially today, because the employment scene has completely changed. Like when I was a teenager, there weren't any grown-ups working at McDonald's. I mean, yeah, the manager was a grown-up, and the assistant and shift managers were only barely grown-ups. They were grown-ups on paper, you know, they were 20 and 21, 22, but there weren't any adults working there, and the turnover was continual. Now you go into a fast food restaurant, and there's grown-ups working there, and it's perfectly normal, and I'm not don't have a single bad thing to say about them, because just the how employment works has just changed over the years. The bottom kept coming up on, you know, the wages at the minimum wage kept rising, and the wages being paid at the very bottom kept coming up, and it just, however, the levels above it weren't rising nearly as fast. So it caused a lot of jobs that used to have huge price differences to pay the exact same thing. Like when I started out in employment, you know, McDonald's, McDonald's paid $4.25 an hour. Well, you get $6 an hour to work in a retail store. You get real good. You get that behind the counter job at a hotel, you might get $8 an hour. Then by the time I was 30, all of those jobs paid $8 an hour. Notice the hotel clerk, price never went up. Stayed $8 an hour, 15 years. While the others all crept up in price. And now I'm sure they're all somewhere between 10 and 20 now, depending on where you live, because there's still a vast difference in both minimum wage and effective minimum wage wherever you live. But the fact that the lower middle to middle just didn't creep up as fast just changed the outlook of employment. And none of this has much anything to do with reselling. I guess it does, because during my active working lifespan, wages were flat almost my entire active working lifespan where I had a job. You know, like my last full-time job, I worked at a hotel, and I had worked there probably from age 22 to from age 22 until 2012, the year my daughter was born. And during that time, wages were basically flat. I got a bunch of increases because I moved up in the hotel and took on more of a management position and everything else. But I know that I started there at $8 an hour in like 2002 or 2001. It might have even been 2000. And I know when I left, we were hiring hotel clerks and housekeepers for $8 an hour. Same price as... Actually, the housekeeper price went up, but the desk clerk price did not go up. And that was over, you know, a 12-year time span. So to me, what something paid, or what was good, stayed the same. And when I worked for a while part-time at the card store, but that didn't pay anything. I think it was $10 an hour. I did it to get myself eased back into the work phase, and because they let me work my daughter's exact school schedule. I mean, I knew I was more than a $10 an hour employee, but that was okay because nobody else was willing to let me work that exact schedule, have off, no problem, whenever I wanted to. And it got me active and going again, and that's fine. But because I'm used to those lower numbers, what I make on reselling often just seems incredible to me, because all of my benchmarks for employment are in the past when the wages were about half what they are now. Not sure if any of this is interesting or anybody would care about this, but you know, some part of me still thinks that $10 an hour is okay, because the highest I ever got up to in functioning employment was $16.25, and that was in 2012 was my last year of that. I think I'd had that for a few years before that, because I know I didn't get any raises in the last few years. I was at the hotel because it went through multiple management company changes, and I was the last surviving person who was a manager of any sort to make it through the changes until the newest company then whooshed me away day one. And that hotel since went out of business, changed brands, went out of business again, changed brands again, went out of business again. All right, let's do a few more sales. I think I've determined I need to stay away from Facebook while I'm listing, because somehow in 6 hours I listed 11 items today. I think I took a bath in between there, ate a sandwich, but still 11 items, 6 hours. Something's not right there. It has to be Facebook. Sold this Reselling copper bottom sauce pot, $20. Not too bad. Also sold a fancy dragon skin double deck box by Legion brand. It's called the Elder Dragon Vault. Sold for $47.80. I probably had $5 into this. Before I worked at the card store, and I used to just frequent it all the time, they didn't place a lot of value on the expensive deck boxes that would come in with collections, and they'd put them up on the shelves for $2, $3, $5 all the time. And I extensively purchased those back then, because why not buy a really nice deck box for the same price as the cheapest plastic one? So all my decks were in really expensive boxes, and now that I've pared my collection down, got no need for them anymore. Sold this Logan compact mat cutter going overseas. Got $35 for this. Did get it in the Goodwill bins. Weighs about 7 pounds, so I do have about $15 into it. But it sold almost immediately. My wife said no one would ever buy this, by the way. That's usually a clue that something's going to sell really fast, is when she says no one's ever going to buy it. And the person was really concerned that the packaging says something about them having paid the customs or whatever, but eBay does that. They paid eBay the customs, not me. eBay handles that. Sold this big wooden storage box. It says Gone with the Wind on it. Got $17.46. I got this at a garage sale. Person would not budge on this on the price. I do think I paid $5 for it. And then once I got home and ran comps, I thought that $5 was a mistake, but hey, ended up selling anyway. Coke and camera filter, $2.91. I did get this from Meta Bubbles, but being that it's under $5, it's just going to count as bulk on his sheet. So somebody sent me, had these up for 10 bucks. These are basic page protectors. You can go in a binder. There's no dividers in them, so you can slip comic books into them, 8x10 photos, whatever you want. They sent me a sob story about really wanting this item, along with pictures of their grandchild and everything else, really wanting it for $8. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I would have probably just accepted that anyway, since it's an $8 offer. They proceeded to not buy the item. And 8 hours later, somebody else bought it full price. So I sold this for $10 plus shipping. This isn't a complete pack either. This is 70 sheets out of a 100 pack. The 100 packs cost about $20 plus shipping. And it wasn't a brand new item either. At least I don't think so. No, it wasn't, because it's got an even dollar number. And I know I didn't just list it, which means it's probably close to a month old. Sold this Blood Bowl Troll Hunter, $16.43. Alright, that's all the sales I've got for now. Remember Jeff Foxworthy? Whatever happened to him? One joke of Jeff Foxworthy's that always stuck with me, and I'll try to put it up on the screen here. You might be a redneck if somebody shouts hoedown and your girlfriend hits the floor. Now, I always had two basic problems with that joke. The first is, pretty sure hoe isn't part of country or southern slang to begin with. I'm pretty sure that belongs to northern inner city slang, as in a loose woman or possibly someone who sells themselves for money, or sometimes it can just mean a woman depending on who's saying it. But then the other part is, really, I think if somebody shouts hoedown and you're close enough to hear it, that you probably are a redneck. You ever heard anybody shout hoedown? If you know anybody who has shouted hoedown, you might want to let them know about my channel. I could use some more subscribers from that demographic. I think that's all I've got for today. Thanks, and hope to see you again soon.